My name is Tomas Rampas of Keen Software, and you are listening to Rated R.
3, 2, 1, and it's another episode of Rated R, a Bamsters podcast. Yay! It's
Yay!
episode 5, Bamm.
It's actually episode 6, but don't worry.
Right, it's episode 6. I'm confused. I never thought we'd make it this far.
I've been rubbing off on you, mate.
Good. Well, Bamm, I think we have a pretty interesting episode this time. We have a bit of news, we have Booga and you doing something later, and then we have, if I'm not mistaken, you and Grit talking to some interesting people.
Yes, very interesting people. We talked to a developer from Keen Software House, so yes, very interesting conversation. Yes.
Yeah, so, well, I think in the big news first, we have actually Keen Software House having released their 2016 roadmap for space engineers and medieval engineers and that voxel engine they use. But yeah, we're not going to talk about that now because you and Grit will be talking about it later.
Yay!
But staying in gaming news, here's an interesting one for you. Are you familiar with the Writers Guild of America?
No, but I am familiar with the Film Actors Guild.
Writers Guild of America is basically a group of people who write scripts, script for movies. And they have their own little award, the Writers Guild of America Award, or WGA. And they have actually made a grouping or a category for games. Outstanding achievement in video game writing. Now, it's not the first year they've had it a couple of times, but in the past, practically nobody heard about it because there was usually only one game even nominated.
Whoa. You're telling me that video games are making it into the mainstream? No!
Yeah, I'm kind of impressed because a lot of people think gaming is where you run around in Call of Halo 2014 or whatever it's called, shooting people, but no, they're actually recognizing that video games have a script, they have a writing, they have stories. But again, they're recognizing that games actually have scripts, and I think that, more than anything, is critical.
Oh yeah, totally. Finally, video games are going to get some sort of mainstream acknowledgement. Not that they already haven't. Awesome.
In other news, we have Michael Pachter, a game analyst, what do we call them? A specialist who knows everything about the game development business.
You see, analysts can't be trusted. I don't trust this guy. I don't know who Michael Pachter is. I don't know what... Yeah, it just goes to show how limited my knowledge of the guy is. I don't reckon $400 is going to be the right mark. I reckon it's going to be a lot less than that because essentially you're going to be buying the headset itself because you've already got the PlayStation 4 controller which already got the light bar on it. So I reckon that's what's will work with it initially. If you want to get the Kinect moves and bits and pieces or whatever have you, yes, that might push to the $400 mark or £400 mark. But essentially all you really need is the headset to play Valkyrie, and I'm gonna make more Valkyrie stuff because Valkyrie is an awesome game and I want to play more.
Yeah, I hope you caught the Valkyrie stream on my Twitch channel the other day.
Yes, I did. It was great gameplay.
Yeah, I should point out that wasn't me playing, that was a guy called Quantum Delta in England, and we were hosting him. But really awesome gameplay. Now, you're right, you touched on a really important point. You only need the headset, and technically you also need the Move camera, whatever they're going to call it. But there's all the peripherals, so are Sony just going to come out with one box, or are they going to go, well, here's just the headset if you have the camera and the Move controller. Here's the headset, camera, Move controller, and here's headset, camera, Move controller, and PlayStation. How many packages are they going to come out and how wide a price range are they going to put in there?
Well, I reckon they're going to have a bundle package. They're going to be the PS4, controller, camera, and then the headset, which I reckon will be around the £700 mark. I reckon they're also going to have a bundle, because they're also going to have those Move controllers as well. But for someone like me who's already got the camera because of the bundle I bought when the PS4 first came out, I've already got the camera. I've already got the controller. All I need is the headset. And I reckon, just like you can buy the camera, separately, and you can buy the controller separately and whatever have you, I reckon you can buy the PSVR separately as well. And that's where I get in. I'll be buying the headset. Ta-da! For £350. I'm happy spending £350 on a headset. I'm happy spending £400 on a headset. £700? No. I can get a lovely PC for that. No, not worth it.
I'm afraid that I'm going to need the camera. I only have the Move controllers. So it might be a little bit more expensive for me, but hey, it looks really awesome. I think I want one no matter what.
Yeah, that's a good point, G. They might just sell a complete box set with the headset, the Move controllers, because you need two, a PS4 controller and a camera, you know, and that might be around the 450 pound mark. But that to me makes sense. You know, you can modularize the equipment you want to sell, and that to me makes sense. It just does. It's cool. Plus, you need a headset to go with it. You know, audio headset to go with it. So, you know, throw audio headset in there as well. You know, it's all good, dude. It's all good. Yes, you can see how the pounds start racking up. But instead of getting one bit of equipment for £700, you get what, 5, and it all works beautifully.
Rift is saying $1,500 for a full setup. If this comes out, Sony is saying $800 for a full setup. Hey, that's half the price basically.
It is half the price, dude, and a lot more people will adopt it a lot quicker. And I think that's what the problem here is. You need to adopt, the tech needs to be adopted so the software can be sold. And Sony are very good at doing this. They sell the hardware at a loss, but they make it up tenfold in the software. And that's what I'm banking on.
And we should probably point out, we have Booker coming back in a later episode with even more VR news. So as we hear more, we will force Booker to talk about it.
Yes, we are going to force Booker to talk to us about everything tech, because he's the tech guy.
Bamm, on Valkyrie, are you planning on doing something there?
Yes, actually, believe it or not, I'm going to be streaming Valkyrie very, very soon, for a weekend or so, you know. So we'll see what happens with that. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to get my ass handed to me. It's going to be great.
Well, you heard it here. Bamm will be streaming Valkyrie, and we'll make sure that it goes up on our Twitch stream or YouTube or whatever the heck we have at that time.
I'm going for 1-5 and that Delt dude. I'm going for them. They're mine. Their asses are mine.
Do me a favor and kill that Denny Fleetfoot or Fleetship or whatever he's going to call himself in Valkyrie.
I'm not going to kill him. I'm going to stick my foot so far down his throat, my foot comes out his ass. And then snap it off.
Whoops. Now, finally, we had a little bit about the Writers Guild who normally do movies, and on the movie side, here's an interesting one. Netflix is now trying to block VPN. I guess for you and me, that doesn't matter too much because where we live, there is Netflix. But for all the people who live in places where there's either not Netflix or there's a limited access to it, like Netflix only has a few movies, this is going to be an issue.
I just think it's a money grab by big corporations. I really didn't think Netflix would be doing something like this. Honestly, I did not think they'd stoop to these levels. I mean, I like Netflix because there was quite literally sticking it to the man. Turns out they've become the man. Not impressed with this one.
Yeah, I'm with you. Netflix has no financial interest in it. It's only the big media companies who are trying to impose a method of money making that worked in the 80s and 90s and around the turn of the millennium. But time's moved on, guys. Well, guys, that's all the news we have on this episode. Yes, there's more news all out there, but we have limited time. Coming up is Booker and Bamm talking about something techie.
This is Tomas Rampas and a Bammsters podcast rated R.
Yes, guys, I am here with the tech guru, Booker de Looker. Booker, what do you have for us today?
Well, my old fruit, there's been a lovely little thing called LiFi coming under my little microscope of attentiveness, just the last short one. It's been around as something that's been spoken about for a while, but we're getting to the point now where we may start seeing some commercial products for this type of tech. What type of tech is that, I hear you ask, Bamster?
Yes, I ask it, what is LiFi? Because I must say, mate, I have never heard of it.
Well, look, we're coming into the stage in our society where we are using so much of our bandwidth as far as radio waves are concerned, and we're coming to a point where people are looking at alternatives in ways in which we can deliver data connections to all of the various devices we've got, tablets, phones, blah blah blah. So one way in which this has been looked at, and the term LiFi, first coined by German physicist Harald Haas back in 2011, and he actually has set up a company since then from a group from the University of Edinburgh called Pure LiFi. And they are pioneering this whole idea, and we may be seeing some commercial version of this later this year, which is why it's starting to become relevant. So how this works is that his concept was that if you can make light So we're not talking about your traditional light bulbs because they can't do it, but our modern day LEDs will be able to provide this sort of data transference, and we're starting to see LEDs everywhere. So an LED is capable of varying its output and its light output by minuscule degrees, and it can do it blazingly fast, mind-numbingly fast. So if you've got a way in which you can put a chip in a light source and feed information to it, that chip will convert that into different frequencies of light, and it'll happen so fast that as far as your eye is concerned, you're just looking at a normal LED light. It may be the light in your room is just LED, but a receiver will be able to take those tiny variations at blinding speed of light and transfer that into data at its other end. Now, the reason why this is interesting, if you're in, like myself, I have a wonderful broadband connection that leads up to my house, but when I'm trying to feed all that information around my house via Wi-Fi, I'm struggling in some of my rooms to get connection everywhere, and I'm certainly struggling as a gamer sometimes to get really good upload speeds and download speeds that I require for gaming, as well as all the other things that my family are doing around me. So if somebody said to you that I can immediately increase your bandwidth by 100 times, would you be interested, Bamm?
I would buy the product instantly, mate. Yes, I'd be very interested.
I know. So it'd be very interesting to see. Well, these are the sort of numbers that have been bandied around for LiFi technology. Now, they have demonstrated currently speeds of 1 gigabit per second, okay, in real results during testing, and there's a theoretical top speed of 224 gigs per second. So that means that you would be able to download a typical Blu-ray 18 gigs worth of movie in less than a second.
Jesus, that is wow. That is wow.
Okay,
wow.
I know it's mind-numbing. The technology is in its infancy, and it will not replace Wi-Fi, because the thing with LiFi is it's really for, at the moment, it would be for like static locations. So it would be within a room. And I'm sure that we will develop ways in which you could pipe that from one room to the next, or whatever. But it would be basically, it could be your main light source that you change to a bulb that can receive these sort of signals and transmit these sort of signals, and you can transmit back to them. It may be a particular light source in the corner. The other interesting thing is that you're thinking, oh my goodness, you've got to have the lights on all the time whenever you transmit. No, you can actually have these things will transmit at such low light levels that to you or I, it would look like your light is off and is staying off, but is actually transmitting enough light to a receiver to actually transmit the data it wants to transmit and receive as well. So you haven't got to be living in a lighted environment all the time. It works to our eyes like it's off, and we will never, to our eyes, ever detect any changes in the lights that's happening. So the other good side of it is security, because of course, unless you're in the room where you're Li-Fiing, then it doesn't go through walls, it doesn't go through anywhere. So if you're particularly worried about security, then Li-Fi will definitely be a step up as far as not having your Wi-Fi communications within your home intercepted. So this is really, really promising tech that, as a gamer and a high data user of internet, myself, I'm really, really interested in seeing the Pure LiFi, the company started by Professor Haas, has confirmed that it'll be rolling out LiFi technology products by Q3 of this year. It's obviously going to take some time to be adopted, and there's going to be an awful lot of kinks to be ironed out, I'm sure, but I'm really hopeful that it may actually make better some of my Wi-Fi woes I have within my house on a day-to-day basis. And consider this as well, Bamm. In general, it's not working. It doesn't really work outside. But just imagine, I don't know, if you're travelling in vehicles, and your vehicles all have headlights, and your traffic lights all have lights on the traffic. Can you imagine the data transfer going between vehicles? That's just one thing that just pops into your head about something that has lights on it within it at all times. And there's a lot of potential for this technology, but I think most of it will be in the home to begin with.
Dude, mind blow. You just think you're right, mate. You're right. But then the thing is, I was also going to come back and say, well, Booker, what about fiber optic cable? Meow, meow, meow. But if you think about it, this is something potentially absolutely huge.
It is
because
potentially huge.
You've got your street lamps, you've got your store vendors, you've got wow, yes, potentially massive.
It is.
Damn, Booker, you've blown my mind, dude.
And as Mr. Haas actually himself said, in the future we will not only have 14 billion light bulbs, because that's what's estimated to how many light bulbs we have in the world. To me, that seems like a low estimate. But he added, we may have 14 billion LiFis deployed worldwide for cleaner, greener, and an even brighter future. There you go.
Let me guess, that was a direct quote, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Well, I'll tell you what, dude, I'm keen to find out more about this LiFi stuff. I think I might go and send the University of Edinburgh a bit of an invite to come and join us on the podcast.
Well, look up Pure LiFi and you'll find the company there. And like I say, they're hopefully going to get products to us in the third quarter of this year. We'll have to see.
Awesome. I'm definitely going to go have a look-see at this. Booker, thank you very much for your techie news for the week, dude. Thank you very much.
It's been real. See ya.
You are listening to our Bammster podcast. Haben die Leute eigentlich nichts Besseres zu tun?
Right, guys, welcome back. And yes, we have the lead developer for Keen Software House, Mr. Tomas. Yes, I don't know anything about Minecraft? Oh, wait, hang on. Space Engineers and Medieval Engineers. Grit Breather does. He plays the game. He's quite enthusiastic about it. So I'm going to let Grit take the driving seat. Grit?
Hi, Bamm. Well, as you said, we're here with Tomas Rampas, if I pronounced that correctly. He is the lead developer for Keen on Medieval Engineers and Space Engineers. So, how are you, Tomas?
Hello guys, and thank you for inviting me, and I'm doing pretty good.
Tomas, what's it like being a lead designer or lead developer in Keen Software House?
Well, currently it's quite busy. There's a lot of things to think about, especially because of the roadmap and all the stuff written there. And currently we are trying to think of ways how to design new stuff and actually repair a lot of stuff that has been already done and try not to break anything that has been already made.
That's pretty cool. Back in the old days when Keen Software House had just begun, what was it like working in a brand new studio?
When I started in Keen Software House, I actually didn't start on Space Engineers. We were still working on Minor Wars. And when that got done, Marek got the idea of actually making a sandbox that would be in space and it would be building ships. And actually I was still at school, so it was kind of interesting, but all went well. And actually, since there were only 4 of us, actually 3 programmers and me as an artist, there was a lot to do since I had to do all the visuals and stuff like that. We actually had people from outside that would do more complex artistic stuff, like let's say the character and some work on textures.
Okay.
But other than that, there was a lot of to do.
As time went by, do you have any interesting or cool stories about things that you maybe wanted to design and started implementing one way but then went a completely different direction?
Well, actually the update videos are a very interesting thing by themselves, because at the beginning the way it used to work is that we were actually polishing the features while making the videos, because we actually came up with something and then we started to making the video, but we found out, oh, well, this is missing and that is missing and this is not working the way it is. So we were basically finishing the features and testing them while making the video itself. And at the end of the day, you got the video and also the finished feature. So that was a lot of times a lot of fun.
Yeah, so basically doing QA for yourself while training the users.
Yeah, but this was really in the beginnings. Now it's way more like there's better pipeline and stuff is being better tested and considered rather than at the day of the release.
So, planets are out. They have been for about a month and a half now, I think, give or take. How big of an accomplishment, how long did that take you? What kind of time did you put into it?
The planets took about 8 months, I believe, and actually the first 2 or 3 months were basically like preparing the game and testing the possibilities and limits. Because let's say that the first planets were supposed to be, I believe, 50 kilometers max, and then we increased it. And after those 3 months, more and more people would be joining the planets team, and actually the really big works and the final, or actually the like really intensive work was about like 4 months in a row, where like almost everyone would be working on the planets.
But what's next? Space engineers and medieval engineers do have a lot in them, but with planets out now and space engineers, we're still missing or hoping for a lot of things, like more accurate flight models, for example, or things like cockpits that actually work, things like drag, lift, atmospheric effects. Do you have any plans for that you could share with us?
Well, currently the main work is being focused into the engine itself, so that like the, let's say, bugs and all the things with optimizations and stuff like that is fixed, and then maybe we will have some spare time to actually focus more on these things. But currently, really the main focus would be the optimizations and bug fixing, because since planets are really huge, there is a lot of space where we can actually improve the engine.
Right, Tomas, awesome. Now, you guys have talked about this game, and I've heard many people talk about it. I've seen gameplay, I've played a few games, whatever have you. All it seems to me is that it's a fancy Minecraft, a fancy space Minecraft. Now that you've got planets, it makes it more Minecraft. I don't want to play Minecraft. What makes space engineers and medieval engineers different to Minecraft? Please tell me.
Okay, well, basically it's all about the physics and the options that you have, because you can build ships that can be destroyed. You can like terraform the planets. Whatever you do on the planet actually is visible out from the space, and you can build basically all crazy systems like, I don't know, giant robots walking on the surface of the planet, or even, I don't know, like cars that you can use to actually explore the planet itself.
I can build a robot. Seriously.
Yeah, there are many mechanical parts that will allow you to make quite complex systems and structures. If you actually check out the workshop, you can see a lot of crazy spider robots that walk very well, and even I don't know how they actually build it. It's like crazy.
Well, that was my next question. What is the workshop?
Well, workshop is basically a gallery of all the things that people made, and the biggest advantage is that you can like download it and actually play it in the game.
Okay, so basically if I have a specific schematic, I want to upload it to the workshop, people to share it with and whatever have you, and they can build what I've just built, yes?
Well, it can get a bit more complicated because everything from the game is on the workshop, so it's not just about that you would be building what they built, but you can even spawn, let's say, the whole car or the whole ship. You don't have to build anything, you just like choose the ship that you like, you spawn in a world and you just place it there.
That sounds pretty cool. Thank you for correcting my my ignorant ways. Thank you very much.
Well, for the sake of our viewers, Bamm, I'll just add that you can also spawn in entire planets that were designed by other players.
Yeah, we also recently added modding support that will allow you to mod any planet you want. So if you want to have like crazy Death Star or like huge maze, you have a chance to do it.
Have you created anything that's actually quite out of this world?
Well, I tried several times, and most of the stuff that I've made you can see in the update videos, so I hope you enjoyed it and that you find it interesting.
Pretty sure I will. I'm pretty sure I will. I've got one more question here before I hand you over to Grit. I'm out of beer. Good God.
That was fast.
Right,
that's about 10 minutes per pint while
Dude,
talking.
I'm out of beer. What? Next question I've got for you. Please, can you tell me where I can buy the game? How much it costs, and what support comes along with the game?
Currently you can buy both games on Steam, Medieval and Space Engineers, and it costs about $19. And with the game you basically get the weekly updates. For both games, on Medieval it's Tuesday, and on Space Engineers it's Thursday. And you also get all workshops, everything, and we also do a lot of modding support. So if you are interested in actually creating your own game content, you can do this for both games.
So the updates are free. It's a one-time payment and I get all the updates and content I'll ever need.
Yes, every single update is free, and every time you can get something new and try it out and let's say upgrade your ships. So yeah, you don't, especially for medieval, there's a lot of new like blocks and stuff like that.
That is very, very cool.
Medieval Engineers has been out for a while on early access. Has lots of cool things in it. Had them from the get-go. Things like structural integrity, blocks in blocks, machines built out of multiple blocks. Really cool stuff. Space Engineers is getting some of the big contents like planets. Do you have any plans to give Space Engineers some of the things Medieval got and give Medieval some of the maybe bigger play areas Space Engineers now has?
Currently, for Medieval, it's basically making sure that the stuff is going to work in multiplayer, and we are slowly, or actually carefully, picking features that we know are working correct, and we are actually fixing them and polishing them. That's, for example, the reason why like multi-blocks took a while. But again, since, as you mentioned, there's a lot of new systems for blocks and stuff like that, it takes a while to actually make sure that everything works correctly. So yes, there are bigger things in the roadmap, but yeah, there's also a lot of fixing and stuff like that.
Any chance any of those new cool things will bleed between the games?
With the new block systems, I'm not really sure, because the thing is that for castles, it's easier to have compound blocks and multi-blocks, because castles don't really like float or cannot like crash into the ground. They can, but it's like very limited. But if we would implement these more complex blocks into flying ships, it gets a lot more complicated than that. And also the reason why we decided to create new block systems is because for castles, if we would have like 2.5 meters huge blocks everywhere, the castles wouldn't really look like castles, but in space you don't have much to compare it with, so it's sort of fine for the big ships.
So you're not against moving these things between the games, it's just a matter of whether they actually behave properly.
Yes, if they would work well, I would be most happy to actually have compound blocks, which are those blocks that you can put more blocks into one area. That would be awesome. But as I said, it's a lot more counting, or actually like it's heavier on the performance, and we really want to make sure that it works well first before we actually implement something more complicated into the game.
I'm sure you are well aware that the community in Space Engineers really likes building massive small ships. Where do you stand on this? Is this something Keen is embracing, or are you trying to find a way out of it?
Well, to be honest, I really like the large small ships. That's how we call it actually here. And I would love to see them in the game at some point. But currently, again, it's all about the performance. For instance, like the oxygen, the way it's done, it's really complicated to make it work for the small ships. Even though it works, it's not it's not good for optimization. And the same goes for physics and, let's say, the way that character actually walks around in the ship. So yes, that's kind of the whole thing. The awesome thing about the small large ships, or actually large small ships, is that they look way better, and you actually have a lot of creativity. But the downside is that they are very heavy on performance. So maybe one day.
Medieval Engineers has a lot of, let's call them, experimentations with AI, both passive and hostile. Space Engineers has slightly less. Could you share any plans for extending this in both games?
Currently there's a lot of like testing and finding the limits about the AI, and let's say that for Medieval Engineers we got a chance to actually try how the AI would act in more or less simple environment. So that's why you have all these barbarians and, let's say, animals and all that. And on the other side, in Space Engineers, we got these pirates and small ships flying around. And both systems are completely different. So yes, we are trying to have AI at this point, but it's still a lot of searching and finding ways how to actually make the AI good in completely dynamic environment. Because since everything can change, the AI has to be quite good to be able to, let's say, navigate in such environment.
There's also a third company, well, not a second company that Keen is sort of in a relationship with called Good AI, which was founded by Marek as well, your CEO. Does that AI project impact the AI in space engineers and medieval engineers in any way?
To be more clear on the differences of the AI, imagine that the AI in games is like pre-scripted. You exactly say or state what the AI should do. But the AI project in Good AI company is more about the AI learning itself, which means you don't actually define what the AI should do. It just like learns from the stuff it's doing. So we had some like ideas about implementing the Good AI into the games, but there's like a long time it takes before it actually learns something. So it got like a little bit moved, but yeah, so this is like the main difference, so that you get like a cleaner picture about both companies and the AI progress on them.
Whoa. So you're telling me you're building SKYNET?
Well,
You're building SKYNET? What?
no, we're not.
Yeah, whoa.
I believe you can read more stuff, or actually more info on Marek's blog posts, and actually on the official website, so you can make sure that it's not SKYNET.
If I wake up tomorrow morning, I see Terminator at the foot of my bed, I'm gonna squeal like a girl.
Well,
Right.
if you see Terminator, he will be built out of either metal blocks 50 centimeters wide or wood blocks 25 centimeters wide, so you should be okay.
Yep.
Right, awesome. Good to know that SKYNET is ever watchful and ever vigilant from Keen Software House. Lovely, awesome. Is Space and Medieval Engineers coming to the console? I believe I've heard a rumor it's going to Xbox, but will it come to the PS4?
Yeah, currently we are working on porting, especially Space Engineers on consoles, and so far there has been a lot of progress, but I cannot actually say any specific date. But one thing that is quite interesting is to design how to actually input all these like options that you have in the game onto one tiny controller. That's like one interesting thing.
That is awesome to hear. You guys are actually porting it to the consoles. Brilliant.
Tomas, you were just saying about fitting the whole game onto a small Xbox or PlayStation or Steam controller. Now, I know you released controller support a while ago for both games, but that seems sort of partial. For example, we don't yet have analog sticks enabled. Do you have any plans for extending that?
Yes, we actually have plans to input all the options, but one thing that is actually a little bit taking us down is better support in the GUI system, because the one we currently have is a bit older, and currently we will be working on a new system that will allow us to make, let's say, adjust the screens and all that better even for the controllers.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm sure the community will welcome that. We have wonderful sandboxes in both games, and you have some starts for things like better storytelling or scenarios or missions in both games. Where are you going to take that? How far will this go?
So the thing with scenarios and basically storytelling is that when we first started with scenarios, it was kind of interesting, because when we started implementing the features, it was very close to beginning of Planet's development, and the community kind of got upset about it, so we weren't really sure if it's like a good way to go. So at some point we decided to like finish a few more features for the scenarios so that we are able to, let's say, make some basic tutorials, and then we kind of like stopped and then moved on to the planets to be like 100% focused. And since then there wasn't that much done on it, but it's still kind of in the process of rethinking whether we should continue or not. and there definitely should be something for medieval in the future, because again, we would like to create some basic tutorials and maybe simple missions, but that's still more in the future.
Okay, that sounds cool. So you're basically saying if the community wants more cool features, they just need to be loud about them.
Yes. We actually saw some really amazing scenarios being made, and that was really amazing. It really looked like a different game, but currently we're not really sure if the community would even appreciate like more complex scenarios, because like we have a lot of stuff designed for scenarios, but we actually stopped developing this feature because we weren't really sure whether it's the correct way to go or not.
Okay, so to all our listeners, I will just say, if you want these features in the game, be loud about them. Keen to listening. So, Tomas, I think one of the biggest things on the community's mind at the moment is the new netcode. Anything you could share about that?
Well, the works on multiplayer has been in progress ever since, and currently more and more people are actually assigned to be working on the core of the engine, which means the game, also the game itself. So I believe that in the future we should see the game getting better and better, because it's not going to be there's not going to be work on like a lot of new stuff, but actually fixing and optimizing the game. And since the multiplayer problems are not just about, like, let's say slow multiplayer, but also in the features itself, it is a more complex area than just fix the multiplayer. The good thing is that people are really focusing on it, so you can be sure that every day it actually gets better and better, at least in the office, and once in a while something gets released.
Right, awesome. This game sounds brilliant. I can't wait for it to come to the console, so I'll be waiting with eager anticipation. Now, Tomas, dude, I know this is a bit of a sneaky question, and it's not on the actual question list, but is there any information you can share with us that's not currently released?
Well, currently, it has been all said before. It's optimization, bug fixing, and a lot of new stuff for medieval. That's for sure.
So no then. Fair enough, dude. That's absolutely fair enough. What other question I've got for you is, you are lead designer for Space Engineer, Medieval Engineers. How did you start, and how did you get to where you are now?
Well, it's a long time actually. I have been in the company for 4 years now, and at the beginning I just knew that I want to work for game industry as a concept artist. So I studied product design, which is as close as you can get in our country to be a concept artist. And then one day I met Marek Rosa, and he hired me as level designer on the project on the project Minor Wars. Yeah. And when Minor Wars got done, I actually kind of got changed into like artist. So I would do 2D graphics and 3D art. Then also a video guy, because I would be doing the update videos. And when the team got bigger and we hired more and more people, I actually ended up as game designer. So to be a game designer really wasn't like the first goal. I basically just like sort of moved into this position.
That is pretty cool. So you've had a very varied experience across the game development world. Beer and bacon question time. What beer do you like to drink, and how do you like your bacon served? And I believe bacon in the Czech is slanina, if I'm not mistaken. How do you like it? What do you like it served on? And what beer do you like to go with it?
Well, I like Plzeň, and also the bacon slanina. I love it when it's like in a burger. That's the best.
Bacon burger for the win. Awesome. Brilliant. And you said you like Pilsner, did you?
Plzeň, I believe it's called in Czech. Plzeň. I'm not sure how it's pronounced in English, but Plzeň, yeah.
Awesome sauce. Good to know. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tomas, for your time. It's been wonderful having this conversation with you, and I've learned quite a bit. Don't know about Bamm, but I enjoyed myself.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me, and it was very nice to talk to you all. Thank you.
Yes, Tomas, thank you very much for coming along, sharing your time with us, and sharing your beautiful, sexy voice. Awesome sauce. Bamm out. Cheers, guys. Bye.